want to explain about solid editing comments. Union, subtract, and intersect comments. First, union comment. Combines two or more 3D solid surfaces or 2D regions into a single composite 3D solid surface or region. Select two or more objects of the same type to combine. Using the union comment with surfaces. Although you can use the union comment with surfaces, it will cause the surface to lose associativity. Instead, it is recommended that you use the surface editing comments such as surf blend, surf fillet, surf patch. Using the union comment with solids and regions. The selection set can contain objects that lie in any number of arbitrary planes. For mixed object types, selection sets are divided into subsets that are joined separately. Solids are grouped in the first subset. The first selected region and all subsequent coplanar regions are grouped in the second set, and so on. The resulting composite solid includes the volume enclosed by all of the selected solids. Each of the resulting composite regions encloses the area of all regions in a subset. You can't use union with mesh objects. However, if you select a mesh object, you will be promoted to convert it to a 3D solid or surface. This is one object, this is another object. You can combine this. This is one and another object. With union comments, it will be one object. Now subtract comment. Creates as a new object by subtracting by overlapping region or 3D solid from another. With subtract, you can create a 3D solid by subtracting one set of existing 3D solids from another overlapping set. You can create a 2D region object by subtracting one set of existing region objects from another overlapping set. Using subtract with 3D surface is not recommended. Use the surf trim comment instead. First, you should select the objects that you want to keep. Press Enter, then select the objects that you want to be subtract. For example, select this object, press Enter, and this object. Or another one. Objects in the second selection set are subtracted from objects in the first selection set. A single new 3D solid or surface is created. This object for the second selection. When subtracting regions, objects in the second selection set are subtracted from objects in the first selection set, and a single new region is created. Now I want to explain about intersect comment. Creates a 3D solid surface or 2D region from overlapping solid surfaces or regions. With intersect, you can create a 3D solid from the common volume of two or more existing 3D solids, surfaces, or regions. If you select a mesh, you can convert it to a solid or surface before completing the operation. You can extrude 2D profiles and then intersect them to create a complex model efficiently. The selection set can contain regions, solids, and surfaces that lie in any number of arbitrary planes. Intersect divides the selection set into subsets and tests for intersections within each subset. The first subset contains all the solids and surfaces in the selection set. The second subset contains the first selected region and all subsequent coplanar regions. The third subset contains the next region that is not coplanar with the first region and all subsequent coplanar regions, and so on until all regions belong to a subset. One object, two objects, three objects. Another one. In the next session, I want to explain about interfere and slice command. Then I want to explain about interfere and slice command. First, interfere command creates a temporary 3D solid from the interferences between two sets of selected 3D solids. Interferences are highlighted with a temporary 3D solid that represent the intersecting volume. You can also choose to retain the overlapping volume. Pressing Enter starts the interference testing of pairs of 3D solids and displays the interference checking dialog box. First set of objects. For example, specify a set of objects to be checked. If you don't select the second set of objects, all objects in this selection set are checked against each other. Second set of objects specifies an additional set of objects to be compared against the first set of objects. If you select the same objects twice, the object is handled as part of the first selection set. Check initiates interference checking for both sets of objects. Check first set initiates interference checking for only the first selection set. Nested selection provides access to individual solid objects that are nested in blocks and X-reference. For second set object, you can, for example, choose this one. Press Enter. Now I want to explain about the slice command. Creates new 3D solids and surfaces by slicing or dividing existing objects. The cutting plane is defined with 2 or 3 points by specifying a major plane of the UCS or by selecting a planar or a surface object, but not a mesh. One or both sides of the sliced objects can be retained. 3D solid objects can be sliced using specified planes and surface objects. Surface objects can be sliced by specified planes only. Meshes can't directly be sliced or used as slicing surfaces. Sliced objects retain the layer and color properties of the original objects. However, the resulting solid or surface objects don't retain a history of the original objects. Objects to slice. For example, you can choose this one. Specify the 3D solid or surface object that you want to slice. If you select a mesh object, you can choose to convert it to a 3D solid or surface before completing the slice operation. planar object, surface, z-axis, view, xy, yz, zx, 3 points. Or you can start point of a slicing plane. Sets the first of 2 points that defines the orientation of the slicing plane. With this option, the slicing plane is always perpendicular to the xy plane of the current UCS. After you have specified the second point on the plane, you can choose whether to keep both sides of the slide objects, or you can specify another point on the side of the plane that you want to keep. Second point on plane sets the second of 2 points on the slicing plane. If the second point is not located on the xy plane of the UCS, it's projected onto a plane. Specify a point on the desired side to keep, or you can keep both sides. Or you can choose with planar object. Planar object, align the cutting plane with a plane that contains the selected circle, ellipse, circular or elliptical arc, 2D spline, 2D polyline, or planar 3D polyline. Surface, aligns the cutting plane with a selected surface. Z-axis defines the cutting plane by specifying a point on the plane and another point on the z-axis of the plane. View aligns the cutting plane parallel to the current viewport's viewing plane. Specify a point defines the location of the cutting plane. XY aligns the cutting plane with the XY plane of the current UCS. Specify a point to define the location of the cutting plane. YZ aligns the cutting plane with the XY plane of the current UCS. Specify a point to define the location of the cutting plane. XZ aligns the cutting plane with the XZ plane of the current UCS. Specify a point to define the location of the cutting plane. And the last one, 3 points, defines the cutting plane using 3 points. Now, planar object. This one. Keep both sides. And another one. Now with 3 points. Now I want to specify a point on the desired side to keep this point. Or you can keep both sides, retain both sides of the slide objects. In the next session, I want to explain about thicken and extract edge comments.